英文是吧？Yeah.
Okay,
Fine.
yeah, start English.
Just start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
cool.
我这边也开始，对，I just started recording. Okay, cool. Okay, great. Hi everyone. Welcome to Onboard. It has been a while since we chatted last time. Okay. This is towards the end of the OK，等一下，让我稍微调整一下。OK，for everyone，就是你们也不用担心，就你们在说的时候，如果你们想要重新说，或者说后面想要剪辑的话都没有问题。就后面我会把那个 transcript，就是我后面会把那个 transcript 发给你们，然后如果你们就是有什么要剪掉或者说调整的地方，直接上面 highlight。就可以，所以说 no worries about saying something, changing anything while you say it. Okay, cool. Hi everyone, welcome to Onboard, and this is Monica. It's been a while since we recording a new episode, and and very soon, I guess for everyone who's been following the advancement of AI, the time passed very soon. It's already towards the end of 2024, and a lot of things happen. And a lot of people might have already discussed a lot about how fast the AI and LM technology has evolved in the past 1.5 years, or less than two, actually less than 2 years since ChatGPT just released. I think, and as we begin to see the AI become more and more powerful, there are two topics that begin to catch more and more attention in people around us. One is, as it becomes more and more powerful, how can it become to be like to know more about me in order to become my own personal assistant? And secondly, while it becomes more powerful, how can we ensure that I believe that for not just enterprise users, but also for consumer users, like when it gets more and more data for me or my organization, right? How can I know that it's very secure and also like protect my privacy? So the topic of personal AI becomes more and more important. That's why towards the end of this year, we are starting this episode to talk about the topic of personal AI. And for this topic, we're very honored to invite three entrepreneurs who are all based in Silicon Valley, and they're all working in very different fields, but all related to personal AI. There's Bill from Bill is a co-founder. Later I will let them like introduce more about themselves, but just briefly, Bill is the co-founder of Ping AI, a crypto network, right? Helping to build the foundation of personal AI. And Tim is a co-founder of CTO at Cresta, a customer service platform that's been growing that's been running for several it's been gaining like very impressive traction for the past several years. And also Alex is as a co-founder and CEO of Nexa. Nexa is also a rising solution for personal AI, especially for those running on your device. I think that for this impressive crew, we have got a really great crew to talk about this topic in more depth in terms of why we need personal AI and what are the components of a personal AI and what are some like potential opportunities and challenges when we think about growing, investing more into personal AI. Okay, Bill, Tim, and Alex, welcome to Onboard.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, looking forward to the discussion today. First, to get things started, let's start with an self-introduction. For everyone, I would love to hear a little bit more about your experience, how you got into AI, and as our tradition, I would love everyone to share one fun fact. What's an AI product or project that you recently find interesting and why? Maybe we can start from Bill.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Bill. I was a Stanford math PhD, and in fact, the first math PhD in Stanford who dive into AI as my main research direction. And in 2016, I was also in Google Brain, now Google DeepMind, as a researcher where I participate in the discovery of later called transformer. At that time we call it self-attention, and working very closely with some of the authors of the attention is all you need paper, and I'm the first one who basically get self-attention architectural work on question answering. And I have been doing AI through all the years, and also being in like essentially this thinking of how to leverage the superpower of crypto and the token incentive in AI throughout the year since 2015. And over the last 2 years, I've been working on AI startups and found this truly pinpoint, which is like a lot of personal data is the one of the major gold mine that has not been unlocked by any of the big tech, like either OpenAI or the Microsoft, Google. And I think that's really one of the main opportunities in the space. And with the incentive system and the network, there is a method to unlock it. Yeah, and love to like share more. And also like the team and I have been running a platform called AI Plus Club since 2015, and it also has like we have spent a lot of time thinking about the personal AI since very early on, and also we like build a community called AI Plus, sorry, like AGI House. Also, like we have a lot of paying a lot of attention initially to like this central AI, and slowly we realized, oh, we actually want everyone to host their own AI.
Actually, for people who haven't been very involved in Silicon Valley AI ecosystem, like AGI House is a must know if you want to get into the core of AI. Maybe Bill, like you can briefly introduce to people who haven't heard of AGI House, like what is AGI House and why it's so important to the ecosystem.
So AGI House is a community that we are curating with a lot of entrepreneurs together, like led by like, Rocky and team and a lot of other like top AI founders. And we have been dedicated to serve the AI research and entrepreneur community, and we host hackathons on a good fraction of the Saturdays. We had like normally 200, 300 people hackathon in our Hillsborough house I mentioned, and we have hosted some of the big launch like Google's co-founder Sergey Brin launched Gemini 1.5 in our house, and also there's a lot of top startups come out of our house like Cresta and also like Demi's Pika Lab, and also like Josh Frame and a lot of other good startups.
Yeah, awesome. And for the fun fact, like what's an AI product or project that you recently find interesting? Besides your own one, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. There are two projects that are very interesting. They are in very orthogonal space. I think one is Anthropic's computer use. But I think that's a very visionary method to like unify how like a large language model interact with your screen and basically build robots that can control your computer. I think the next step that we are envisioning is like controlling your mobile phone and be able to see what humans see on your screen, and basically avoid all the fuss about like hooking up with different API and all that. That's really interesting. Another is kind of like a recent trend of like this thing called Truth Terminal, kind of a social experiment. People are able to launch $1 billion meme coin based on like some simple like two AI chatting randomly on Twitter, and that's kind of like a new trend that I would say it's very hard to get as like your first seed, but when you truly think about all the things behind, it's like a very interesting social experiment.
That's interesting. And I think that for computer use, we'll also discuss briefly later in our show, because I think even though we have been talking and the AI community has been talking about that the computer the computer use or agent for a long time. I think Anthropic released the API for computer use. That was really the first time that this technology, this capability is enabled for every developer. Very cool. So next one, maybe Tim, like you, I think among us, like you are the one who's been in the startup world for the longest time.
Yeah, my journey actually started also at Stanford with Bill. I know Bill almost 10 years ago now, when we were PhD student at Stanford, and I was in the computer science department, the Gates computer science building, and I study natural language processing and reinforcement learning. That's my research direction. Is actually related to computer use, which is to how to train the ROA reinforcement learning agents to be able to use a computer like humans do, like use keyboard and mouse. And it was actually a project that we collaborated with OpenAI back at the time when everyone thought AGI is coming, in but in a different form. That when DeepMind has AlphaGo and the reinforcement learning agents that could play games like the expert humans do. That was what people thought that AGI would come in 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah, so that was the last wave of like AI hype. Yeah, so and transformer hasn't been invented yet. So that's when I started my company out of Cresta, out of Stanford PhD. So we dropped out to build one of the first like AI companies for large like enterprise use cases. And it's been 7 years from now. We work with like very large companies like United Airlines to deploy AI agents for their customer experience. And that's actually related to personal AIs in a sense, like in the future, I think that all the brands and businesses will have to touch the humans, their consumers, the customers in a personal way. And that's also one of my long-term questions as to how do we build like a better Siri that so I've been advising to Chen AI as well to sort of build the decentralized version of Apple Intelligence. Yeah, so I think for me, the best consumer AI app, I would say it's between Perplexity and ChatGPT. I think that I've been using them a lot and as a way to find answer to questions. But I think that in the future that, I think there should be a more personal version of it, right? Imagine something that connects to your personal email and data that could, based on your personal contact, suggest what to do. So yeah, so looking forward to the discussion, and thanks for having me here.
Hi, Monica. I guess you are muted.
Hey, Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah, now.
I was asking Tim, would you share an AI project or product that's more recent that you find interesting? Maybe something new or something emerging?
That's a good question. I think beyond Perplexity and ChatGPT, I would say I think Notebook LM is a product that I really like. I think they have really good user adoption in a sense, like they can create like different personal contents like podcasts based on your personal data. So I think that's still yet to see how Google can bring this consumer product to masses, but it's a very interesting design pattern that we've seen.
That's cool. As a one of the very interesting use of the voice, the voice feature of a Notebook LM that I have heard is that people put in their linking profile and then hear like how AI will discuss like their profile, and normally it's the AI giving a lot of compliment, so it becomes a very good preparation for interviews. It turns out it becomes a very interesting very widely adopted use case. So yeah, I think AI is really such a tool that really enables something that even the product designer was not intended in the beginning. Cool. And Alex.
Thanks, Monica, for having me here. So I'm also very interested in personal AI, and like Tim and Bill, I'm also from Stanford, and I got my PhD there before I do Nexa AI. And actually, I came to Stanford a little later, and my PhD started at around like 2019, and at that time like. I think we haven't seen a really huge impact of generative AI, and then in the next year, and we gradually to witness more progress, especially from OpenAI, like we see GPT-3 and ChatGPT. And interestingly, during my PhD studies, I'm also a big fan of entrepreneurship. And during that time, I led a student organization called Stanford Chinese Entrepreneurs Organization, and I got the opportunity to know a lot of entrepreneurs, and actually, I think I'm almost the very earliest person to really feel the impact of generative AI at that time. Like, Jasper, they we all used the GPT-3 tools and got a lot of revenue. Basically, I think 50, 100, 50, 100 it's 50 I think it's 50 million revenue in that year, and that's almost like the starting point. Like people begin to really care about generative AI. And after that, OpenAI also released the ChatGPT, and everything happened so fast. And my classmates, including me, we are all excited about this opportunity. And then I began to really think of being a entrepreneur rather than working in big enterprise. Yeah, and then we began to really look into the market, and we see that generative AI has a lot of use case, and different from many developers or scientists. They are looking at the large language model, and at that time, people are really concerned about scaling loss, and a lot of scientists, they are working on how to make the model bigger and how to enable the training of bigger model. And we found actually an opposite way, which is how to maintain the model's performance while reducing the size of the model, so that it can be used actually locally rather than on the cloud. And that's the foundation or the thesis of my startup called Nexa.ai. And in terms of the latest product, I'm especially impressed, I'll say, is Cursor. So we've seen like generative AI, they have really powerful capabilities. Like we see Cloud and ChatGPT, and I think if we really need to define some product oriented, like defined by AI, and it has a revolutionary impact on humans' life. I'll say ChatGPT or Perplexity AI, they definitely have already impact a lot of people's life. But I think the recent one will be Cursor, because Cursor basically redefine the IDE. Redefine the IDE or replace the VS Code. Basically they designed this IDE based on the capability of AI, and they really help to improve the efficiency of coding. So I still do a lot of coding, right now. Like even I'm a co-founder, but I still do a lot of coding, and I can really feel the capability of Cursor. And I think this will be a starting point of AI's capability to revolutionize different industry. And I'll share more about my current observation of on-device AI as well, and I think it's coming very soon, like in many devices in the world.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for your introduction. As you can see, we have got the early participants in Transformer and OpenAI agent at OpenAI, as well as on device AI. So it's really amazing crew to talk about this topic of personal AI. To get started, let's start with the basics, because like personal AI can be actually when I first talk about this topic with Bill, I was asking Bill, like, it seems like personal AI is a word that can mean a lot of different things for different people. So like, how would each of you, because you actually work on different fields in AI currently, so how would each of you define like personal AI? What do you see as key components of personal AI? Maybe we start from Bill.
Okay, yeah. To me, the boundary between personal AI and a generic on-cloud AI assistant is more like a personal AI represents the user. It's like a kind of everyone human-centric, right? Like not owned by a big company. And also it should truly know you and be loyal to you. It's either like your best like executive assistant or like your kind of best girlfriend, right? Like that can listen to your complaint and can do things for you, can know your preference. I think that's the personal AI that is different from a very powerful assistant AI on ChatGPT that runs on your phone.
So that's interesting. To follow up on that, but why do you think it's important that's not owned by a big company? For example, it can be for example, like ChatGPT, they can add a lot of like personalized features, right, to make the ChatGPT very personalized and knows me very well. I think that's what they are trying to do. But why do you think it's important that the model itself, that the model is not owned by a big company?
I think it's okay that the model is an open source model developed by a big company, but I feel like the business objective cannot be kind of like defined by the big company. Since right now we feel like, all the big AI companies building very useful stuff and all that before they reach the point of monopoly, right? So first of all, right now they haven't figured out how to work with people's deepest privacy, right? We are not like opening up our like credit card history, our social security number, our like crypto wallet address to ChatGPT yet. So I feel like there is a lot of your information that is not shared to ChatGPT, and I don't imagine that's shared. But there is like a deep trust relation that we might not trust any big kind of enterprise company. Another thing is like you think about how consumer-facing company can be successful. Today, all the internet companies do like either run ads or do e-commerce or do gaming, and it's mostly like initially free, and then they monopolize, and then they basically become a more brutal business model that they make money on your data to like feed you the most relevant ads, or like basically do things that is more likely to make money from you rather than represent your best interest. So in the long run, I think there is a very clear cut between AI that represents you versus AI that represents a big company and internally like optimizing for their maximum revenue. Maybe subject to some social like regulation constraints, but it's not gonna like only maximize for each user's personal objective.
Interesting. Yeah, for any question, like feel free to chime in if you have anything to add. I would love to. I would not strictly follow the question list I have here. I always have some like spontaneous like follow-up question, and to make this more interactive. Yeah, it's very interesting because we're talking about like personal. That's why I think it's very important to hear like how you define personal AI, because I think for me, when I first think about personal AI, I probably mostly think about like it's running on my data and probably on my device. Like I probably didn't think about like why, like whether like who developed the model is that important. And I think currently even for OpenAI or ChatGPT, I think they are also like trying to explore like more business model besides just like very simple subscription model, right? Cool. How about Tim? What's your definition of personal AI, and what do you think is the key component?
Yeah. I think that the key for personal AI is like I view it as like AI that has personal context, and LLM is only as good as like the context you provide it, right? And a lot of as we move towards compound AI systems, we will have AI agents that not only can process input and output, but have things like memory and knowledge, and a lot of it is related to human, like have a human-centric view. Like for example, if you want to understand this person's food taste, right? When you order in DoorDash, that's some memory that the agent can capture as the agent have like a conversation with the user, and through like chit chat or through daily conversations. So I think that as the user use AI more and more, we can capture their preferences and their memories, and that become like the key personal context that can enable the AI to do a better job, and also provide a better, as Bill mentioned, sort of consumer experience, like in terms of engagement, right? Can we get the next the best consumer product? It has to have a stickiness around it.
So Tina, to follow up on that, Cresta is working on the enterprise sector, right? B2B sector. I think for B2B companies, like, well, they use AI. I think the data privacy, right, and the custom AI that understands the organization very well. I believe it's one of the like very constant topic that the enterprise people in enterprise AI talk about. You think about the personal AI for consumer, like technically, like what's transferable between the two type of personal AI, and what do you think is a new challenge that's needed to enable and personal AI for consumers?
Yeah, I think that enterprise care about privacy, right? Because users like will have, say, customer records, as some let's say you buy a speaker and then have issues with it, and then you want to call customer service for troubleshooting, and that kind of experience could be much more personalized if the AI knows, for example, the device you bought and the issue you're having. Maybe have like telemetrics, like data in real time feed into the AI, right? So that's going to be a much better customer experience. And that being said, that there's like a fine line between privacy and personalization, because knowing, I mean, a lot of companies will have the customer information based on their name and the phone number, and you can pull up the records in their system. But that kind of AI, as long as the information is used in a way that benefits the end customer, I think that's going to be a solution to alleviate the concern of privacy, right? Because a lot of the privacy concerns, like big companies use your data, but for their monetization purposes, for example, like to sell it to ad companies and to figure out better ways to sell your product. But I think there are ways that we can use personal data for a better end customer experience.
I see. But when you work for, because I think when we talk about personal AI just now, I think Alex will probably talk more about it. Like, I think one component people talk about is the that's running on device, right? So that it can, so that your data is not it's not sent to the cloud. So, but I'm curious, like but the cloud transformation has been there for a long time, right? For enterprise, when you work with your enterprise customers, like how do you balance, right? How do you balance this like use of AI and also the convenience of cloud that I guess like most enterprise have already adopted?
Well, I would say that the enterprise will only have your personal data to some degree, and a lot of the processing we will have to redact the information. So only a certain level of engagement requires us to understand, like for example, the person's preference or their device they bought, and that requires integrating into like these record systems. It's very different from a personal AI that runs a device which understands on a deeper level your personal context. For example, like an AI that could index your email, your phone, like your messages with friends. These are the sort of data that a lot of the enterprise use cases we probably don't want to care about. But I think it will be very, very important as we build better end consumer experiences.
Are we going to see that more? Like the agentic workflow, the agentic experience, are going to see that more in enterprise?
Yeah, well, I would say that we already have agentic workflow running in the cloud for the use cases, say customer service. But I think for the personal AI that understand on a deeper level, that will probably run on edge, right? So we'll have on personal like iPhone and Android devices. So what I think is going to happen in the future is there will be personal AI that sort of represent you that runs on your device, and there will be also company AI, so business AI that represent each brand, right? That, for example, United Airlines will have a brand that AI, and those AIs can interact with each other. For example, you have a personal AI that can book flight tickets to you, maybe that will connect to the different AIs of the brands. Actually, that's what I think Bill wrote in it's a sort of a white paper in the Pin AI. It's like the concept of agent link, right? Can you link different agents together in a sort of agent-centric internet?
Yeah, I would love to dive more into the agent-centric internet like later. I think it's a very interesting concept, which is sounds very different from the simple like tool use, right? For agents. That's interesting. And Alex, what's your definition of personal AI?
Yeah, actually, I've heard a lot about personal AI. I mean, I heard a lot of requests about personal AI from our customers, and our current on-device AI solutions is mainly designed for agents locally on edge device, and one of the reason people use on-device AI is because of the privacy. So we are we heard some very specific, definition, I would say, like from our customers, and we also are aligned with this kind of requirements. For example, what our model can do is to convert, the user's input, let's say some text input into some action, basically a function call or agent, and for example, if the user say like, tell me about Apple, and here the personalization will be reflected, by how the model react to the user's query. So for some people, for some users who are really concerned about the new product of Apple, the model may need to understand like this guy is in particularly interested in Apple's new product, and I should to bring the marketplace of Apple for the user. And another case will be like if the user is really concerned about the stock of Apple, and then the model should be able to really understand the user and then bring just return the current stock price of Apple for the user. So this is a very simple example, but basically I think personal AI is like the model should have maintain a copy of the user's information or profile, and it can adapt itself when the user try to use the model, and along with this progress, the model can gradually understand the user better and better. And I mean, there are many different ways to achieve this, and I think this is very important for to increase the adoption of AI.
So you mentioned, I think your Nexa AI also got a lot of attention from the paper that you released, right? Like the octopus paper. So like, do you think to enable the so it seems like you are developing to help you better understand your business model. So like, are you developing your own LLM? Like, what's the relationship between your LLM and the and like the open source LLM or the LLMs like developed by the big, like by the top LLM companies?
That's a good question. So we train our own small language model, but these language models are especially designed for edge device. Essentially, we run these models on like a mobile phone or laptop, and our business model is a B2B model. So basically, we don't create any consumer-based product, but we intend to be a tech providers to companies like HP, Lenovo, Samsung, this kind of hardware company or software company like Pin AI, who is also interested in edge AI. So the key difference between our model and open source model from big companies, like we usually have a lot of customization. Sometimes we pre-train our own model, and sometimes we do further fine tuning or do some like architecture pruning of the existing model. And usually model from big company, they cares almost their only goal is to achieve better performance, and that is about the output quality of the model. But from our perspective, quality is not the only metric. We also need to be concerned about its latency, because the computing capacity of your device is a fixed value. And then we also care about the energy consumption. So we actually are constrained by three important metrics of the language model. But the models from big enterprise, they may only concerned about the quality, because they can always use more GPUs on the cloud to solve the problem of latency. And yeah, I mean they have no concern about electricity.
I see. So on that, I'm curious, like one, and also another thing that you mentioned is that, well, actually, so let me take it back. So you mentioned that it's a customized model. Does it mean that you need to customize the model for different partners, like for Samsung, for I saw that you are also partnering with AMD, and also like and also other like phone like Lenovo's and other phone manufacturers. Like, does it mean that you need to customize for different like phone providers?
I would say like our customization is mainly like how we do some differentiation in the architecture design, and they can be generally used by all of our customers. For example, we will like develop some different architecture than transformer decoders one to save the energy. And for multimodal language model, we may figure out some way to do the token compression. And this customization can help to save the battery of your device when you run the on-device AI model. And this kind of customization can be used by not just the laptop, but also phone companies. Yeah, but I mean, for the customization, like a really tailored customization, like fine tuning, especially for a certain company, we also consider to do that as long as it is compatible with our company's value. Yeah.
I see. Like one more follow-up for me, and I have more questions for the rest of the speakers. Is that so? Like, if the model is running on device, like how do you update it? Because for example, like everyone probably only change my phone like nowadays probably only every like 2 or 3 years. But as we can see, right, like the model keeps improving almost like every other month, probably like every 6 months. Like how do you update the model's performance?
That's a good question. So we actually figure it out, through inspired by the old-fashioned software update. Like 20 years ago, like when you install like Office software, it's locally, and it utilizes your local computation, and it also needs updates. The way to do that is to have patches. Gradually, you have a regular patches to update your software. And it's very similar for us. Like currently, when you want to update your like engineering framework, I mean, it's very likely. I mean, it's very similar to other software updates, but the way to update your model is also doable through this way, because we have many methods like using LoRa to fine tune the model. Like let's say I want to update my model, and basically you can do the LoRa training to fine tune the model and go to trainable weights that which is very small, and which can be transferred from your server to the user's device, and we use this way to send patch to the user's device and then update the model.
You're muted.
Sorry. But at the same time, you still keep the all the content that I have and all the personalization. You still need to keep the personalization that you have done for me for the and bring it to the next model, to a new model.
I think our update is mainly like to improve the overall quality of the model, and it shouldn't include the user's own personal data.
Got it.
I can actually take on this personalization question. I think this is a very cutting edge frontier research that I don't think any big company has figured out the correct way to do. So essentially, there are two types of updates to a small language model that runs on your device. One is what Alex was saying, basically improve the capability, like make it better on like function call, make it better for say multimodality, and the small update released by like LoRa weights, and the big update is maybe like say Octopus V1, V2, V3, V4, right? It's like a rolling different versions, and like you can even give people more pre-train. But those are more like a capability update, just like Llama 1, 2, 3, 4. There is another direction, which is the personalization direction. That one, I don't think it makes sense to do it in like a model research company, because each like a user have all the privacy data. To truly do personalization, you want the AI model to be like aware of all those data, but then the model will like basically memorize so much privacy that it should only belong to the user, not belong to the model company. So it only makes sense to have this client side like kind of fine tuning. So the first method we go with this is the knowledge graph RAG. So basically every night you can like essentially use a small language model to do summarization and knowledge extraction based on all your personal data to have essentially this augmented context to your model as almost like the default prompt. And then you can bake this prompt into your small language model through like basically essentially turn like a fixed pre-template of your in-context learning into fine-tuning. And then the final step, which is research, is like, can you kind of like use your on-device compute capability to involve each model so that everyone starts from like day zero being like the same small language model, but involved in different kind of gradient optimization paths to different personalized version of model, so that in the world there are billions of different small model of the same like a genetic family. So that's the vision we are trying, but that's a very researchy topic that I think OpenAI, Anthropic, like Facebook, none of them have, Apple have like at least released any like a solution around here.
I see. So in the ChatGPT, right, they have this like memory session, which I think it's an like the memory session at ChatGPT is only I assume that it's like the first approach that you mentioned, right? It's
yeah,
like,
that's the first approach. That's the easiest way of like having some like knowledge graph, right? They record some of the things about you.
I see. That's yeah, that's very interesting. And I think talking about that, I noticed that like Ping AI and Nexa AI actually also form a partnership for like lately. I think it would be very helpful for, and I would love to learn more about like how you collaborate, what's the partnership about, and how you collaborate. And I think the even though Bill briefly introduced like what Ping AI does, but I think that it would be helpful at this time, like to really share like how you in what's the role that you play. Are you also like, it seems like in your partnership you are leveraging the model developed by Alex, by Nexa, right? Then like what's the role of Ping AI? What's the pain point that Ping AI is trying to solve in such a big scope of personal AI?
So Ping AI is trying to build this personal AI network. So network has two type of meaning. One is more like a crypto sense of network. It's like we have a Ping chain that is like a blockchain similar to like Ethereum, where it runs almost like the smart contract and all the kind of public ledger platform for all the personal data and the personal attention intent interaction between, say, like your own AI and the service AI that are like the agent in the internet, right? Like let's say some shopping AI that like hooked up with Shopify and all that. For us, we are trying to facilitate and coordinate. We are trying to be the coordination layer and be the platform layer for other people to launch, say like a successful personal AI product. But in the meantime, like when we build all this infrastructure, and the economy layers, we need an actual use case. In the early days, no one is gonna build on top of us. So we also need to build on top of ourselves. So we developed the first kind of consumer-facing product called Hi Ping. It's like a Hi Ping, similar to like a Hello Google, right? And with this product, we have two steps. The first step is a Telegram mini app that we launched the Telegram mini app, and pretty magically we got to like a 330 K users in very short time, in like a very truly like exponential growth trajectory without any marketing. So that shows the power of this direction and also the power of our like vision. But mini app is not strong enough, right? It does not like have ability to like have fine control over your AI model. So next step is we are rolling out a mobile app. There we have very deep collaboration with Nexa, since Nexa is truly providing the cutting edge model in terms of small language model doing function call. So like let the function call to be able to do like a large class of different actions. Actually, like Nexa has a very nice sequence of demo on their website. There is at that time 20, I think now is even more, like a very cool small language model doing different function call. Yeah, we are really impressed by that. And yeah, like I have known Alex for a long time. Actually, I also come from the Chinese entrepreneur organization. I'm also one of the early we have come from the same family of like trees, and yeah, it's very natural to have this collaboration, and we are like really impressed by Nexa's model.
I see. So you are more built upon sorry, you are more working on the application and the crypto layer. Well, the model itself is built upon like a Nexa's model.
Yeah. We focus on the model pipeline. For example, when we get a small language model, how do we make it more personalized? How do we say build the knowledge graph for every user, and then how do we make it via fine training, and eventually how do we let everybody's model to evolve? Basically, we have the pipeline for evolution, but we don't create the seed. We don't do pre-training. We only do post-training related research, since I feel like pre-training is more like a thing that big research lab and like very dedicated startup that do model research.
I see. Actually, as we talk about a lot about the consumer facing AI, I'm curious, like for team, I would love to hear from your perspective, because on the one hand, right, like on the one hand, how do you see this the personal AI that we just discussed affect the use of AI in the enterprise world? And also, I know that you and Bill and also working on some research together. Do you have anything to add in terms of what are some frontier research or unsolved problem in enabling personal AI?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think that there's one common area where both enterprise and consumer are looking at is the concept of smaller language models. Because even for, I think that Bill and Alex mentioned running like a very small model function calling on device. For enterprise, we also similar issues where you want to be able to run a lot of models in production for different features very efficiently. So it's not like one model rules all, where you call a very large model, but it will be very costly for each token. We actually deploy, a suite of different models, from like few hundred million parameter models to billions of parameter models that are fine-tuned to each use case. So I think Bill, Alex mentioned like LoRa. We actually deploy a lot of LoRa adapters for different use cases and fine-tuned on customer data. So I think this kind of approach works for enterprise now, and I think for the personal AI in the future, we could have that, this kind of that adapter approach that could learn from personal data, and it can become better and better as you learn from user context.
I see. Yeah, what are there any other like unsolved like technical challenge or research level challenge that you see in personal AI besides what Bill just mentioned?
Yeah, I would say getting I think the retrieval is definitely still a very big challenge. I think no one has cracked the concept of building a personal index for the different personal data you have. I think it's naturally historically a very hard problem because I think that people know how to build index for search engines, but personal data is very different, right? Your Instagram data is very different from your messaging WhatsApp data. So that's going to be cracked with, I think, large language models. So having an LLM that could work across like different retrieved data helps the retrieval process itself. So I think the personal index, we haven't seen company successfully building it yet. Apple claims they want to do it, but they haven't rolled out anything that's actually usable yet. So we're looking forward to something that will happen in this space.
Yeah, I think Apple Intelligence, I just haven't figured out a way to to really feel its power. It's just constantly disappoints me. And I think Apple have a lot to do. Probably they should consider using Nexus model. I'm curious. And so one question to follow up on that. So personalization is not a new thing, right? Like when we talk about this personalized model, like what can we borrow from the how to say the traditional like personalization, right? That almost every mobile app has developed a personalized recommendation, right? The recommendation engine. And what's new about personalization that we need for this for AI applications? Maybe we can start from Tim, and like would love to hear also from Alex and Bill.
Yeah, I think the kind of personalization we will need to the AI to work well, I think, as I mentioned, is like one is memory, right? As the AI interact with the user, can it remember the choices the user made or the preferences they have? And as you accumulate more and more data, the AI can perform better and better making decisions for the user. Because ultimately, we want an AI that can do things for us, and we can trust the AI and then delegate tasks to the AI so that it can execute a sort of open-ended problems on its own. So I think that's going to be a very key component of it.
I see. So I think the traditional like personalized and like the personalized recommendation in like Instagram or Google, it's very much simpler, right? Because I don't need you to perform any task for me. You just need to learn from my previous like click and choices. And Bill, do you have anything to add on that?
I think there are two major breakthroughs. The first differentiation is on like a data set. In the data side, in the past, without all this like large language model innovation, it's actually very, very hard to properly utilize cross-domain data because like for all this unstructured data, it's extremely hard to utilize. If you think about the old-fashioned ML, which is black box predictive ML, you are like gonna optimize the health in this closed loop system like a TikTok. Right? TikTok is the best example of this, where it's really optimized really well on like recommend you the most kind of most likely videos you see or most likely ads you see, right? That's the same system that Facebook was using for their like information flow product, and this is like one of the secret sauce of like the massive like ads consumer internet success over the last 10 years, right? But people are not really able to leverage other apps. For example, even if TikTok can have, let's say, users' data about, let's say, their shopping history and stuff, it needs like a lot of engineers' time to like do featureization to add features into this predictive system. And because of the privacy, these engineers cannot really see what are the data they are handling. So it's becoming a very hard problem of like cleaning those data and improve their ML system on like dark, like unseen data. But with the large language model, it's so flexible that it's possible to leverage this cross-domain data that you were never able to see and basically work with zero-shot. Right? Traditional ML model cannot work with zero-shot, one-shot learning, but with large language model, it becomes possible. That's, I think, the first difference is cross-domain. And the cross-domain is also very hard business-wise to achieve. If you see recently, there is a very popular product called AppLovin. It's like the stock price is skyrocketing recently. And it's basically kind of adds a union that a lot of Chinese mobile gaming companies pull the user data and behavior together to the same place. Just by that simple union, they are able to improve their click-through rate even beyond what Facebook can do. Facebook has so many super apps, right? Like Facebook itself and WhatsApp and Instagram, but AppLovin was able to give ads in a more accurate form with the power that is cross-domain union approach. That's the first change. I think the second change is more like kind of from completely black box, I would say building a data flywheel to be able to do cold start. So this tool is connected. Traditional algorithm, you have to create embedding and create black box. Like say in the high level, you can think of YouTube or like TikTok as you have a user embedding, you have a product embedding, and in some nonlinear space, the kind of nearest neighbor between the two in a product will win. That's kind of the generic mental model I have. And this black box vector does not encode much meaning. And you have to have a super app with so many interactions to have this nice embedding. Now with a new app, a new startup, they can start from scratch. And that's also powered by this cross-domain feature, right? You are able to borrow from the others, but also it allows the new startup to bootstrap. That is also one of the promise that we think crypto is able to play a big role, because crypto is more a decentralization power that favors small company that start from grassroots rather than big super companies like the Facebook store that already have humongous amount of data.
Right. Because I'm thinking in terms of a cross application actions, right? If you want to run it on a device, does it mean that you need to have the permission to take actions across apps, and which is totally controlled by the phone manufacturers, right?
Not really true. The phone manufacturer is one approach but in some sense, the data are owned by the user, not the phone manufacturer, nor the a data platform, the big super app platform, right? If you read the GDPR and also US, like say California data law, the data is only owned by the user. So user should be the only one that decide whether I want my Instagram data to be used for my Amazon shopping.
Right.
It shouldn't be Apple or Android or Samsung. Any of those can decide what they can do with this data.
Got it. So even if you want to take actions across applications, as long as the users give you the permission, right, to take actions on their behalf across different applications, it's not limited. It's not constrained by the what you can get from the phone manufacturers.
Yeah.
Got it. And what about Alex? Alex, what's your thoughts on the what do we need to what are some challenges that we need to conquer for personal AI?
Yeah, I think I share a very similar opinion with the team, about the difficulty of personal AI. And previously, before we use language models, big companies and researchers, so they've done a lot of work how to personalize the recommendation. And at that time, we typically will need a feature engineering. Basically, we want to know different features of these specific users. And usually you will eventually get some abstract representation, basically some embedding based on the model you constructed. But for large language model, you may have more intuitive representation, which is basically the language description for the user's user's profile. And let me give an example here. Like if the model wants to learn this person better, like typically like I think the natural way to do that is to you just upload the profile of this person, like including the user's name, gender, age, and his past working experience, and several small stories about these persons, and then the model can learn a little more about this person. And imagine that if you have a model as well as the user's profile, if the user continue to use the LLM and interact with it, the LLM can understand more about the user and then add more details to the profile. And I think this would be the most straightforward and simplest way to get some personalized experience when the user interact with LLM. And based on that, the difficulty would be like what kind of features you think is important for the users. Like maybe maybe we need to maintain a really long description about the user, and at that time, like the LM may be a little confused about what kind of content about this user I should use when I answer to a specific questions. For example, if the user is asking about which clothes to buy, and the LM may need to extract or retrieve the user's profile information relevant to clothing preference. But sometimes it can be mismatched, and this is something I think really new, because it's related to the user's preference and some latent issues. And I think it's very meaningful for companies, especially I think there is opportunity for startup like to really dive into this problem and figure out a reliable way, like list the most important or effective features for the users, and then maintain maybe a profile for the user. And especially like if you use on-device AI, you can save this user's personalized profile locally. I mean, without the concern of privacy. Yeah, and I think designing this kind of a system and how to let the model retrieve the correct part of the user's profile when the model needs to do personalized QA. And I think that's the most important and challenging part.
Mm. So it seems like a lot that we have discussed about enabling pieces for personalized AI are like the infrastructure layer, right? The memory system is etc. Like, what does it mean to the model itself? Since Nexa is developing the model, right, to enable the personal AI, like what does the model need to adapt to it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So currently I think our ideas about personalized AI, to achieve this, you basically have two ways. One is that you have some prefix prompt about the user's preference, like I just mentioned. The second part is naturally like we can fine tune the model based on the user's interaction with the model. And I think the second part is a little more about the model's part, and it will it is about a lot a lot of technical detail of the model. Like basically, you won't let the users personalize the data, mostly private data, to leave the device. And in that case, you want to achieve like on-device training. And if you want to do on-device training, I mean the RAM requirements is much more strict than the on cloud training, and you need to figure out new ways to do the training without consuming a lot of RAM or battery. So I think for models part, the challenging part will be how to achieve on-device training, and then how to achieve like a parameter efficient training for on device. In that case, like we can really integrate the user's personalized knowledge into the model.
I think that sounds like also a very unsolved problem, right? In LM. I think even for like online, can we really achieve like online learning for LM? That's even that itself is also an unsolved problem, not to mention, right, on device learning for LM. Like I'm curious so I think it's very intuitive, relatively intuitive for us to understand, okay, the personal why we need personalized experience. But I'm curious, like, so a question for team on that is like an enterprise, right? So you need an enterprise a model customized for the enterprise, but also the tool is actually used by everyone within the enterprise, right? So every user, do you see like does every user also need their own like customized or personal AI? Like how are they different? Like what are the approaches different in approaching this two type of personalization?
Totally, yeah. I think that the future will have both like personal, everyday AI and also personal work AI. And I think the first difference is like the goal you're optimizing for is very different. I think for a personal AI, I think it's a mix of all like different use cases, right? From like entertainment to like just help like with you with daily tasks, mundane tasks, to a lot of different things. I mean, we consuming content. But for work AI, personal AI, I think a lot of it is just like very oriented towards productivity. Is like, can you help the user delegate repetitive workflows to the AI so that you can free up time for more important things. And I think that that means that the AI will first of all integrate into different data sources of workflows, right? For personal AI on the consumer side, you integrate into like Instagram, WhatsApp, all the personal data. But the enterprise, you will have a different set of products that you integrate into, right? Maybe it's like Microsoft Word, Adobe, all the different like productivity tools that we use in our work. And then also, I think that the approach will be very different, because I think for the work AI, because we're optimizing for productivity, a lot of it will focus on repetitive work, automation, and processing documents, for example. And for personal AI, it's more broader. So it's like focusing on more long tail sort of edge cases. And I think that's also a reason why personal AI hasn't fully happened yet, where most of the generative AI use cases we see are in enterprise, because the use cases are more constrained and more repeatable, right? And then, but I think as AI get better, we will see personal AI in a wider sort of long tail use cases.
Nice. But it seems like if we have to divide these two uses, think about like most of us have to spend most of our awake time like actually working. So now you actually have a lot of data in your personal data, right? Also in your working environment. Do you see is there a way to combine these two data? Because that's a more comprehensive me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I think that one way is, for example, you can bring the personal context into work, right? Because we all have our own personalities and own history and own knowledge. So that's why we increasingly see a lot of the prosumer use cases where the product built for consumer, but because it's optimized for productivity, you can bring it to work. And ChatGPT is a great example of that, right? We use it every day for our consumer use cases, but at work we can also maybe bring the context of our consumer product to the different productivity use cases, so we can integrate into different, say, workflows to help you do work better.
I see. How about the LM, the personalized LM for the enterprise? I'm curious, like for when you get into an enterprise, do you, like I heard that some enterprise customers will like the companies to will like the LM providers to even customize the LM for their for that specific enterprise. Like then how is that customized like enterprise LLM related to the personalized LLM for their individual like employees?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The main use case we see for custom LLM is for the company, so the company-wide use cases. So people train, like say, fine-tune GPT-4 or Llama on the company data, so you can build custom LLMs to optimize for the use cases. There aren't many sort of custom LLM per user, although that could be an interesting direction to explore. A lot of the personalization on the AI product side is for the user is mostly using things like retrieval augmented generation or in the different data sources, and that's primarily how you can plug in personal context. But I think that's really important area, because I think in order to provide the not just productivity but also like employee happiness and just like helping curate like a tool that they will love to use is really important. So having personalization to improve your employee experience is, I think, an underexplored area.
Yeah, I would think that on the one hand, like every enterprise, even for like say like a procurement process, right, a customer success process, right, like the tools that you use in every company is very different. I think that's more on the enterprise level, but there are still some there are still some best practices, right, for one task within one organization. I think some top performers, right, they might be able to they are become top performers because probably they have their own workflow to do things like more efficiently than their peer. I think maybe one day, like if we can actually capture those information from the top performers, we can probably like also apply it right to the entire organization. So I think that would be, I think that would be something to enable. We talk a lot about like the superpower individual, but probably we can enable the superpower like enterprise by enabling this, so everyone becomes a top performer.
Yeah, that's actually how Cresta was started, with the mission of, we call it experts on day one. So we started by cloning the experts, like learning from top performers and then sharing the expertise across the team. So that's where our starting point is.
I see. Cool. Let's take Bill, go ahead.
Bill, that Cresta has gone such a long way that they recently closed their Series C with like 125 million. So I want to say that's like a really amazing thesis, right? I can see it from day one when they say expert on day one. Now it's like such a big, so successful.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, upon that, I originally like saved that question for later, but I think I can probably ask it now. Because team, like when Cresta just started, it was before LM, right? Like I'm curious, with the emergence of LM recent 1 and 2 years, what kind of change does it bring? Has it brought to Cresta?
Yeah, I think that from outside the world, the view that there's like sort of a tipping point where the LLM come along with the release of ChatGPT. But from inside the enterprise, from our AI academic world, where the advance of generative AI is not just like an inflection point, right? We've seen the evolution of the language models from over many years actually. So when Transformer first started, that people started training like larger and larger models. So in 2018, 2019, Google released BERT and OpenAI released the first version GPT. That was the time when we started switching some of the model to the concept of pre-trained language models. So these are not as big as the model today, but they're pre-trained on a lot of internet data to alpha-based model. And the paradigm then is to train these pre-trained models on customer data. So we started fine-tuning BERT and the GPT on the customer data. That is the first, I would say, evolution in our architecture. The second evolution, I would say, is the larger model. I would say GPT-3 is an example of that, where I think where it started to allow the emerging capabilities, right, in terms of zero-shot and few-shot learning. That actually enables a new paradigm in terms of developing these models. Instead of training on a lot of customer data, you can actually bootstrap the model quickly with 0 shot or few shots, meaning that you give the model only a few examples. That enables the enterprise deployment to be much faster because you can start initialize a version 0 of the model with a company with only few, very, very little effort. So that's where we see some of the deployment gets faster on the AI side. And I think that's the second evolution. Yeah, so I think that it really depends on the emerging capability of the model. I would say the next evolution is probably around reasoning and the ability to do better retrieval. But the foundation layer is still being built there, and we haven't seen much application in large enterprise yet.
You see, we haven't seen. So, what are some applications in enterprise that you expect to see while those technical challenges are getting solved?
Yeah, I think reasoning is a very big aspect of the next iteration of the model, because and I think that the common belief is that if you do reasoning really well, you'll solve agents, because agents just like a set of a sequence of actions you take, and reasoning is like a sequence of chain of thought you take to reach some conclusion, right? So that's why a lot of people are trying to solve math and coding so that we can easily generate the chain of thought that is accurate enough. But I think we're still pretty far from like actually really solving reasoning. I think it would be really useful for use cases. I mean, fields as a is in finance, right? So a lot of the financial expert use cases will require a lot of reasoning. Less so for contact center use cases, because customer service require less reasoning. But I would say the biggest impact for us is probably the agentic workflows. That's why we're interested in like more accurate models for function calling, more multi-step workflows. I think probably like the next AI is very relevant to that front.
I see. Okay, for people who are still new to the word agentic workflow, I know that for people in the center of AI, like we have been talking about this for a long time. I think this is actually the next big topic that we'd like to get into for our discussion, because I think besides a more personalized search result or a personalized recommendation, I think the like agent, right, like being an agent that will actually help us perform some tasks is really what we are truly expecting from AI. I think maybe starting from Tim, since you just mentioned the agentic workflow, maybe give people who are not familiar with this word, what is an agentic workflow? Right? How is it different from the automation that most people are familiar with?
Okay, yeah. I guess I can explain agentic workflow. So I actually did a lot of like research with AI investing company called Generative Alpha, also founder of that, and we find basically it's actually like today's large language model is relatively good at soft boundary problems, of like generating a bunch of text, like writing and all that. But it's not very good at like a precise outcomes. Like say function call is one of the process outcome, but it's often like you run it 10 times, it will probably work 7 times, and 3 times will give you all kind of glitches. The way people conquer it is the first do this like long RL training, essentially like basically set up an environment that lets your model like repeatedly run this until it like work every time. This is kind of the like a self-iteration RL approach that O1 takes to like basically teach a model to learn how to do planning. But it's not really learning from the human expert, right? This is a kind of the basic system too that you can iterate when there is ground truth. But a lot of other scenarios, you do not have ground truth with a perfect simulation. Right? Like the math and the coding is more like solving Go problem, right? It has like a perfect simulator that you know whether you are correct, incorrect. But say in investing, you actually do not have like a well constructed, repeatable experiment system, right? For example, for an investment decision, you might trade up or down, but even if you make one trade too long and you made money, you actually do not know whether this is because luck or because like your decision-making process is correct. You somehow need to learn from the best human trading expert who has, I think today AI is probably here and this expert is still way up there in terms of like the decision-making and the thinking process. And the agentic workflow is essentially like how can AI learn from this process. And I think there are some very early initial experiments where we ask a human expert to write down like step by step how they think. It's like their workflow, their in investment terms, like the investment process in like say big enterprise things like how you like take an Excel sheet and do things. It's more like how do you do these things step by step? You open this and then you add A and B, like just carefully write down. It's kind of like how human write agentic workflow. And in the future, I would imagine there should be a process of like the expert human teaching AI how to do this in like a few shot learning style, just like how today like you can teach your like FSD how you drive, right? By like basically cracking it and all that. And I think Cresta is one of the early kind of frontier explorer on this on a relatively simple task, which is customer kind of this customer facing bot. The intelligence level of those tasks is relatively easy, but you still need to kind of learn from the best human expert, and slowly you want to ramp up. Say personal AI, one of the big use case is personal assistant or executive assistant, right? Help you do scheduling, help you like book food, help you book trip. For those, like I think today they are still at bottleneck. That's why you feel like Apple Intelligence sometimes feel retarded, because when you ask it to do some like a booking simple calendar with some basic reasoning, like in Apple Intelligence demo, they were saying, oh, like I'm late for my next meeting, adjust next meeting, and like supposedly they are able to go to your calendar, read your calendar, modify it based on the like the Apple Map traffic. But in reality, even that use case doesn't quite work for multi-step. So I feel like we are on the verge of like pushing the frontier there. And then in the end, I feel like there should be some type of system that truly like is kind of having this data flywheel, like few shot data flywheel. That, for example, it's AI system that invests with human, or even like run a startup with human, right? I think investing and probably being CEO of a startup, making a lot of small decisions are two of the probably hardest job among like well-paid human beings. And like AI should initially be like a co-pilot and be a useful assistant, and then do longer and longer planning trips. Eventually, I'll be able to like take over say 90% of the small decisions without human, just like today's driving.
So to enable that, besides the what are some key technical challenges we need to tackle? Besides what Tim just mentioned about the reasoning capability of the foundation model.
I think how you collect human data from people's interaction and also from their past action history is very hard. Today, we have like a traditional supervised learning, right? Like for the black box ML algorithm. We have supervised learning in post-training for this like kind of instruction fine-tuning. We have like reinforcement learning where human can write a very good environment and let RL play with the environment and get 0-1 reward on success or failure. But beyond that, how do we let human actually teach AI is actually a very challenging problem. The design the interface to ingest this knowledge into ML system is typically a very hard challenge.
Right. Are we like, where are we like, why? So as you mentioned, like the zero shot or few shots learning as a relatively established technique in machine learning, but where are we in applying that in LLM? Like, why is it difficult for LLM to achieve that?
I mean, today you can do few shot learning for like this agentic workflow planning, right? That's what I'm saying. Like you ask some expert to write a few examples of how they do this process, and then put those as context to a large language model, like say O1, to teach O1, okay, this is how I do planning, please do planning. but it's fundamentally limited by the intelligence level of the large language model. If your process involves a lot of very complex tasks, like say if you input like let's see Terence Toss academic paper to prove a theorem and ask it to prove a similar theorem, it will like clearly just fall apart. It's like the model is not smart enough. Similarly, for a lot of other tasks like investment, it's like too hard. I feel like the frontier these days is pretty close to build a good executive assistant.
Right. Because like for an individual user, right? I also have a lot of like my personal habits in performing one certain task, right? Like in those cases, if you let's say if you teach an intern or your EA, you would just like tell them, okay, like when you book my flight or when you order something, some takeout for me, like here are some preference. I think nowadays it's like not that easy for the model to learn your preference in doing certain things, right? Even if they can just even if it witness like how I write my show notes, right? How I modify the format of my blog, it still cannot learn. I think once we can tackle that, like it will make the personalized AI like much more attractive.
Yeah.
Right. And how about Alex? Like, I'm wondering, like, when you are, because recently we began to see some agent use cases running on mobile phones, right? So I'm curious, like, what's your plan when you are working with your partners in like the mobile phone manufacturing partners? Like, is that something on in your roadmap? Like, what's challenge for, because it seems like even for the most powerful model, right, the reasoning and all the things that we have discussed are still unsolved, right? And how do you enable it in an on-device model?
Yeah, so actually we've collaborated with several like pretty branded mobile phone manufacturer and use on-device AI model to support their agent capability. And basically like when I say agent, basically like we have a model like it can accept the users query and do some like a multi-step planning and then do the function call for each step, etc. And I think one of the critical challenge, when we really deploy the model locally, is that the client or the mobile phone manufacturer, I mean, if you really put this in production, you need to have a really hard limit of the RAM and the disk size as well. I'll say like a hard limit is the RAM and disk size. And in addition to that, like you may also want the energy consumption is also under control. So to achieve this, I mean, you need to do firstly, like let's say you already have a model that can already fulfill the request on cloud. And then if you want to deploy this model on mobile phone, you need to do a lot of model optimization work, such as quantization or pruning, to make the models RAM consumption or energy consumption lower. And to respond to your second question, like how to use the small language model to do function calling well. The way to do that is that we use some like new design for function call. For example, in our Octopus model, we use some concept called functional token, which is to figure out a way to compress the description of a certain function into a single token. And in that case, we can let the model to do the function call really well. And I think one comment from the community is like they think Octopus model is like a small action model, which is like the model can do function call very well with a well-defined functions. Like in the mobile phone, you may only have less than 1,000 functions, and that's fixed. That's a fixed number, and you can let the model pre-learn these functions and then let them perform really well, with the scope of these 1,000 functions. And I think the difficulty for language model to do function call very well, actually, I would say like if you want to do function call in an open domain function scope, most of the models less than, I would say like a 10 billion parameters model cannot do that well. So that's our solution to, really solving the function calling accuracy supported by a small language model.
I see. Yeah, I definitely think that like the as the model, as the LM becomes more and more powerful, like the current like 7B model can definitely perform like much more in than the 7B model in like the same time last year.
Yeah.
To follow up on that, like how do you see the new paradigm like driven by O1 affect what's the impact of O1 on this? Because like once I'm thinking that like as we are going to scale more on inference, right, instead of the like just making the pre-train model like larger and larger, is it something that will benefit that we can benefit, that the on-device model can benefit?
Yeah, I think in terms of quality, it can definitely benefit the eventual result. Another downside of the inference scaling is that so for on-device AI model, latency and energy consumption is they are actually very important. Let me provide some data point here. So if you run a 1 billion parameters model on mobile phone, and for each token output, the energy consumption is around like a 0.1 joule. So basically, like if you use this kind of inference scaling, and before you really get some result, it did a lot of inference, and that can consume a lot of battery of your mobile phone.
Right.
So let me give you some more intuitive, demonstration. So we actually did a lot of testing on mobile phone. So if you run a 2 billion parameters model on a latest, let's say a Samsung phone, and then if you let the model like output a story of 500 words, and you do twice, then the battery will just drop 1%. You only do twice, and the phone becomes very hot. So let's use the same logic here. Like if you have inference scaling, and you want the model to output 500 words stories, and it first think for 500 words, and that will just double the energy consumption. So in that case, I think we are still in hesitation to utilize the inference scaling. And also, I think inference scaling is usually used for especially hard problems. And I would say like on-device AI model, they are more suitable for very well-defined problems, such as function call or simple question answering. For most difficult problem, like solve Olympic math questions, in that case, like a cloud model along with the inference scaling, it sounds more reasonable.
That's that's very interesting to know. To follow on that, like so Bill, like you mentioned that your infrastructure is built upon crypto, right? It's built upon a blockchain, right? So like how does the energy consumption, right, of the inference scaling paradigm driven by O1, does it have any impact on the infrastructure that you are building upon?
Okay. So when I say we have a crypto layer, it's a ledger recording which personal data is being called by which AI model. We actually do not like run large language models on the blockchains. And so you can imagine it's basically everyone agree on a simple set of database, right? Like everyone needs to keep a recording of this database. Like in the case of Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's like a world computer that only have like probably like a very naive like CPUs. If you think about the compute power in entire East, it's probably not as
Mhm.
strong as a Mac computer on you. So it doesn't make sense to like run an AI model on it. It's more like record and get consensus so that no one can modify this database. I think that's the key point of crypto. And what we are doing is to put which data is being called by which model, and like which service provider is using which model to serve which user, and like carry which data, and who should pay who. All those information is being recorded on the blockchain. And the blockchain is tailored for those like micropayments, high frequency transaction scenarios that like originally was happening in like the internet age inside like Facebook's database, Google's database, TikTok's database, right? We are essentially like replacing all those infrastructure. In some sense, you can think of the pin chain as like a replacement of a generic kind of Facebook ad like kind of database on like which vendor should pay Facebook how much money and all that, right? Like, and in terms of your previous question, I can explain how I think O1 can help on-device model. I feel like if you think in short term, I totally agree with Alex. But if you think long term, it's kind of amazing how much like hardware scaling and things can go. Our like the like amount of compute and stuff will get stronger and stronger, and also like the sheer amount of like model compression and like by retraining the model, how much better we can get is gonna evolve very fast. That I envision by like taking O1 or O2 as probably the kind of supervisor teacher model to label data for like on-device model to potentially do one-step inference. It can already provide a lot of value for agentic tasks. Basically, you can use O1 to roll out and do this 5-step planning from input to output, and basically hardcode that by like student teacher framework to force your like a 2 billion on-device model to memorize that. I think by having like a crazy amount of data generated by your O1 model as teacher, you can already improve a lot on your student model. That's number one. Number two is I think for on-device model, before it learns all this reasoning, there is another bottleneck that I think it should be solved earlier, which is multimodality. I feel like for on-device model, it should first learn to how to mimic the like real-time version of GPT-4o that can like talk to you like in her, and then learn reasoning, and then do all that in an on-device model. I feel like that model that can both reason pretty good by like be able to do system one thinking, just learned from how giant model do system two thinking, and be able to do multimodality will happen in my projection, probably at most the next 3 years.
Well, that would be very exciting. Cool. So I always like to have so we have really touched a lot of topics in personal AI in terms of its use case, agentic workflow, and also the technologies and beneath like what's behind it. Before I get into the final session of some quick questions, I would like to briefly discuss like your experience as entrepreneur. So like, because I know that you guys have been in the world of entrepreneur for different period of time. So I would love to I think a lot of people in our audience are also like entrepreneurs or thinking about starting their own company. So from what are some curious if you can share like what are some key lessons that you have learned in building a startup? Especially, are there any advice that you would give to like researcher turned founders, because you both like all of you are a PhD before like primarily working on in the field of research. Any like challenges that you have faced in your journey, and advice you would like to share with our the founders in our audience? Maybe we can start from Tim. Like you have been in the field for the longest time.
Yeah, I think that that's a very interesting question. I think that startup is like it's like a marathon, right? So I think my advice would be never give up, and also there's a lot of like steps you can take whenever there's like a problem, you feel like you're trapped into like the in a situation that there's always ways to think outside the box and to figure out a solution to figure out like to the problem. So I think that always focus on the long term, and if you believe in the vision and if you believe that there are people who are excited about the mission join you, then just go do it. And I think that will lead you like step by step, you can build up more and more momentum.
Or are there any like typical mistakes or challenges that you have seen in those like researcher 10 founders?
I would say one thing I learned is around focus. I think as researchers, we typically work on a lot of problems. We're all very interested in like technology and a lot of new ideas and new research results. And I think AI is a very exciting field. There's always like tons of things happening in the field. Every day there's like a lot of releases, a lot of new research coming up. I think when working on a startup, what I learned is like there's always like a shiny object syndrome, right? That the grass is greener on the other side. So that in the early days, we're tempted to like work on new ideas if something gets harder. But what I learned is like sometimes it's very important to keep the direction and keep it working on it until you finally decide this is not a good direction to try. So like keep consistency, and that's very important in building a startup.
Yeah, that's a great advice. How about Bill?
Okay, I think for me, I would say 3 keywords. First is distribution. Second is data. Third is incentive. So let me explain. Distribution is the most obvious. I think for researcher 10 founders, typically people are obsessed with technology, and slowly they learn, oh, technology isn't everything. And then they obsessed with building a cool product. And then they found, oh, I have a product, but no one uses it. Then they slowly, maybe normally it's when their startup fail. And then they come and then do a new startup, and then they will learn this saying that first time founder obsessed with product, second time founder obsessed with distribution. So basically, I think that's a pattern that a lot of people will experience. And like relating to that, it comes to like why you are the one that can get the distribution, right? Like what's your differentiation to all your peers? Like you can probably build a pretty cool technology, but what's the difference between your technology and other people, another smart PhD technology? Normally in the age of large language model, I would say the delta is probably like at most X%, where X is like bounded by 20 or something, right? Like that's pretty often the case. And if you are able to like build something like when everybody else do not have ChatGPT, you have ChatGPT, then you have this wow effect product that you have zero customer acquisition cost, and then you will like get amazing result. I think if you are able to build those amazing things that are being number one, for example, like Steve Jobs on like iPhone, or like Elon on like cars. So I think then you might, or like SpaceX, you might not need to worry about distribution. But for everyone else, I think distribution is normally the major challenge. And data is like the natural follow-up on this in the AI age. I think data is probably the most important mode for small to mid-sized startups. For larger startups, they are hyperscalers like Google and stuff. But data is a mode, but not even the most important mode. But for small company, I think clearly data is one important way that you differentiate from your peers. And when you grow to, say, when you get to the size of like OpenAI or like NVIDIA, I think data is no longer the key mode, right? Like it's probably the talent flywheel. You got so successful, you attract the best people join, and then you like keep making more money on making more success. You have more new people, so that people cannot actually catch you up. Those like would be like mechanisms you want to get, but normally in early startup it's very hard. So I think data is probably one of the modes that you can build in the early days. I think the third is incentive. It's typically in Web2 startup, people do not think about incentive, right? Like it's the incentive is more like how do you keep your co-founding team do not break apart, and how do you incentivize your teammates. But if you think in a more broad scenario from 1 and 2, I think token is one way that you can massively lower your customer acquisition cost. That's kind of like the hack number one. With by having incentive, you align your potential clients with the company. And number two is with incentive, you can also have other people to build on top of you. Right? Like essentially, you can curate an ecosystem and let other people build on your infrastructure. That's what Ethereum was able to do. Yeah, so basically, I see incentive is a very powerful secret weapon that not many AI founders have fully learned, and it can probably accelerate your startup success.
And that's very interesting takeaway. Actually, I would like to follow up on that. Like you mentioned the data flywheel, like is it contradicted to the personal AI that we just discussed? Because like you want to keep everything right on device, like you don't want to, meaning that you don't have the assets of the user's data. Like how does the data flywheel work in the world of personal AI?
Yes. So in the traditional fashion of like TikTok or Facebook, you want to keep all the data on your company server, right? Keep it on your cluster or your cloud. But to me, that's not the key. The key is build a network effect by having data. In the case of Ping AI, we do not want to hold the user's data because we believe every user's data belongs to themselves. And also they should self-custody their data rather than having to trust one big hyperscaler to custody the data for them. But we are building the protocol that they are able to let a lot of different AI applications on top of our chain and our ecosystem of AI applications to utilize their data and pay them. I think being able to facilitate this untapped resource and let everyone to actually benefit from their data from two ways. One is the AI model and the AI applications built on top of their personal data would be more useful to them, right? That utility part. Second is when someone wants to sell you something in a shopping scenario, they can query your preference and they make money by you paying them this thing. But in the meantime, your personal AI should get paid for your personal preference is queried.
Got it. Before I turn that question to Alex, I would like to follow up your take on distribution with team, right? Because I'm curious in terms of distributing the product to enterprise. What are some lessons that you can share with founders who are going to offer this emerging tech, product based on emerging technology especially to big enterprise? Yeah. What do you learn from the distribution?
For large enterprise, all about going sharp value.
Tim, I think your voice is a little bit far.
Yeah, I think for large enterprise, it's all about focusing on clear, sharp value proposition. Can you be able to demonstrate value, right? Because companies have budgets, they allocate budgets based on what projects to be successful in delivering value. And usually startups are small, right? So you have to focus on one or two use cases that really solve the pain point of the company. And then over time, you can expand into more use cases from a horizontal platform. So, and I would say if you're building something for enterprise, start with less smaller companies, maybe in the mid-market segment where you can gain a lot of traction quickly without all the legal and security hassle, and the long sales cycle of enterprise. So yeah, I think that there are a lot of use cases that you can explore and prototype to start with for these mid-market.
Great.
Yeah,
that's
I totally agree with this with distribution, right? With generative alpha, we experience when we sell to say Goldman Sachs style companies, just by the mere fact of going through one MD to another partner take probably multiple months to a year, and then like there is contract period and all that, it's like physically impossible to pass through unless you truly have the ability to navigate internally, and your product is like really robust to the point of like all their compliance is something that's very familiar to you that you can quickly navigate. And in the end, we find a lot of traction with like the much smaller, say, hedge funds that want to work with us and have deep collaboration, that they are typical like a $1 billion AUM. They have like 10 people. That type of profile, like basically is the honeypot that we find successful, and we were able to build a good business that are quite profitable from that. So I kind of learned that with Ping.ai, it's the same, right? Ping.ai is like if we build this like a protocol and say go to some of the big AI products, like say Perplexity, they will see why we have such a good distribution. We do not need your incentive. Already have a lot of users using us. So I think the way we do it is to set up the incentive alignment with even smaller like AI agent developers on top of us, and let them develop on us. And initially also develop, basically have a Web2 component to build this like a hyping app ourselves to like be able to demonstrate how to use our like Web3 infrastructure and our like model protocol, our data.
Awesome. Thanks for the great advice. How about Alex? Alex, when did you found Nexa?
It's May last year.
May last year. So
Yeah.
about like so more than a year now.
Yes.
What are some lessons that you would like to share?
Oh yeah. So I think you know, since we started since I started to be an entrepreneur, I think the biggest learning is like I think the biggest cost of a startup is from decision making. So and I mean, regardless of this is a cost of time or a cost of money, I mean, you would like to always make a right decision, especially if the decision is relevant to the direction of the whole company. And also I have usually like when I say like make a right decision, it means like you want to create something that have that really has value for your customers. And the way to do that is like before you do anything, you really need to talk to a lot of potential customers before you make decision to do something. And I really went through some some time like we personally think like something is meaningful and useful, and then we just started to do it. And then when we finished the product, and then we began to sell it to our customer, and we found like our customers are not actually very interested in the stuff we created, and the customer will sometimes like propose some request like actually we think it's not very difficult or not technically difficult. So we used to be in that state, like we tend to do something we think challenging or difficult, but it's not something that the customer really need. So this is I think one of the suggestion I would like to offer to the entrepreneurs who especially they are just starting their company. And also like when you talk to the customer, one big learning is like if it is possible to do the in-person communication, try to do in person, not online Zoom, because you can always find like you can get more in-depth feedback from the person if you do an in-person communication. And we really feel it, especially we have the conversation with big company, like a public company, like when you talk to their when I talk to my customers, like initially we do the online meeting, and then we begin to stick to the in-person meeting, and we really found like it's totally different, and we really can learn more from the in-person meeting. So yeah, I mean, decision making is the biggest cost, and really try to make a wise decision. I mean, do a lot of investigation, user interview before you really make the decision.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely. I have been there in selling to enterprise, and I can tell you, like, in-person meetings are it's very important. That's why like AWS, we have that executive center. That's where, like, we host, like, all the executives for an in-person gathering. Awesome. So the last session, thanks everyone for sharing this great learning from your startup journey. So the last session is actually my favorite. It's like quick fire session. So I've prepared several questions. I would love to, everyone to probably give to spend like less than like 30 seconds to a minute to share your answer. There was something fun there. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so first question, what's a book that has a significant impact on you, and why? Maybe you can start from Alex this time.
Yeah, actually, I read more about like YouTube channels or blogs on websites. So uh um so actually I read I don't read book a lot. So but for YouTube channel, like maybe that I'm very familiar with, like I always follow the channel called No Prior, hosted by a venture investor. And for the book, I think recently I read Elon Musk's his biography, and that's also been pretty helpful for me, because I really learned like how to start to be a new entrepreneur, and then gradually to become a successful and mature entrepreneur from that book.
Awesome. Bill?
Yeah, I think in terms of, I guess, podcast, I think so. So first of all, in terms of format, I was pretty inspired by All In podcast, and I'm kind of aspired to set up similar things. So that's why I'm trying to do a sequence of different kind of AI and crypto discussions and experiment with whether I can do more of like this online format. Since previously in AGI House, we did a lot of offline great events, and a lot of that is kind of very in-depth discussion. But to make it no filter, we also do not do any like digital recording. So there is a trade-off that I'm now leaning towards the all-in podcast approach of like sharing in public. And I really like the say Monica's podcast for this similar format. And in terms of book, a few books that truly influenced my kind of startup journey. One is kind of From Zero to One, the Peter Thiel book. I mean, it's kind of like old philosophy, but I find
the classic is always the classic.
Yeah. Another one is actually more how like say there's a big kind of trading person build up their careers. Like for example, Soros has this kind of financial alchemy book that is more philosophy, but it actually teach me about how to understand, say, like a crypto market, and how like you understand this asset that is not traditional asset, is based on cash flow and things. And also like how do I think about some of the startup decision making. So, and of course, I'm also very inspired by Elon, but I feel like the book is only a small fraction of it. I am kind of inspired by Elon's approach of like twittering things. He is able to move from like the most kind of like a futuristic entrepreneur that talk about how to be multi-planetary species to the meme lord that can pump like Dogecoin And he is like also super fast to adapting, right? When I first know Elon and all that, I think he's like working with Andre on like say FSD, and it's pretty clear in like one cycle before like the Dogecoin pump, Elon is not happy with like all the talents move from to like crypto and think, oh, like this crypto thing is bullshit and they are like stealing a talent from us. And later, I think when he spent time into it, it's like, oh, it's actually how this is played. Let me experiment with my Twitter, and then he can become this like a super power, like pumping anything. And then he learned how to play that into, I guess, the most recent like election and all that. I will feel like, wow, this is like amazing. The book in action.
Nice. That's awesome. How about team?
Yeah, I like the Elon book as well. I think especially the latest, all about the latest book on Elon's journey by Isaac Walter Isaacson, and I think that book really, I think one major takeaway is about like how in all the difficult situations that he's always have the support of his community and his friends, and even though he had like nothing in the almost like went bankrupt at some point, and yeah, so that's really interesting book. I'm also looking to I think I read one of my favorite books is The Diamond Age, book about how the future of technology and education evolve. And in the book, it talks about like concepts like an AI that almost like not an AI, but like with interactive book that you learn from of any knowledge. I think that's really inspiring, especially with the AI we have today. We can do something.
That's great. We have a lot to read now. Okay, the next question. What's one opinion about AI that you changed in the past 1 year? What opinion about AI that you have changed in the past 1 year? We can start from Bill.
Okay, yeah. I guess yeah, a year ago I would think, okay, like some of the tasks that we were hoping today is like a much like easier task than AGI. And slowly as I work on AI, now I feel like, okay, a lot of the tasks that some of the early startup attempt to solve is actually above AGI. So I consider AGI now as like solve 95% of like white collar knowledge workers job. So I think in some special dimension, like coding and math, maybe math not so much, but like coding, I think the best model like O1 or like a Strawberry in general might have already bypassed like AGI threshold. But if you think of AGI as like a multi-dimensional metric, there are also a lot of tasks that AI is still not there yet, right? Like we cannot even build a executive assistant, which is definitely falls into the 95% kind of white collar job. And there is also like say discretionary financial trading that I would probably qualify to fully automate that is clearly a task that is harder than 95% of white collar, right? Like those people get paid a lot, like being a good like a decision maker in like run a company, it's like clearly harder. So I feel like to nowadays I realize, okay, to push from 95 to 99 to something, it's actually in some dimension very hard. In some dimension, it will magically just pass through like in like Go, right? If you find the right method, it quickly become like a super intelligence in this special field. So now I hold this like more big views, like when we achieve AGI and all that.
Okay,
Or
trying to be
even
more
NASA.
conservative now.
Yeah.
How about team? What's something that you have changed?
I would say that before this year, I think the voice interface is something that I think that consumers may not necessarily want, and I think because I think a lot of the younger generation prefer texting, messaging, asynchronous chat. But I think after this rollout of advanced voice mode and see the adoption of different users, it seems like there's like something there that it could be like a new mode of interaction and especially when the experience gets good, then I think that people can have like a long session with the AI. So it could be a really interesting mode of interaction with AI.
Cool. And how about Alex?
Yeah, so I think 1 year ago, I think closed source model will dominate and open source model will gradually disappear. And it turns out that it's catching very soon. And especially recently, like you see DeepSeek release is going to release the open source, the OpenAI.
Oh, one. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So yeah, so I think open source really still has the opportunity to maybe eventually beat the closed source. Yeah.
No, that's a very ambitious prediction, but yeah, we'll see. Okay, the next question is about this startup. If you could go back in time to meet your younger self when you just started your startup journey, what would you say to yourself?
Yeah, I think echo my previous suggestions to new entrepreneur. Just calm down and try to talk to your customers and then decide what you need to do.
Cool. And Bill, anything that you would like to say to your younger self?
I would probably say I should have started a startup much earlier. Maybe like Tim, just not finish PhD or like finish PhD and then start right away.
Follow Tim's follow
Yeah.
Tim's experience.
Yes.
Cool. How about Tim?
Yeah, I would say that hire a go-to-market guy earlier.
Well, when did you hire your first go-to-market guy?
It's in 2019, 2 years in.
2 years.
All our founders are Stanford PhD, so I think having a good market is really helpful.
Cool. Well, we have some new advice now. Cool.
Thanks, I'll take that advice.
Yeah, Alex, you still have time to think about it. Cool. Okay, the next the last question is actually one of my favorite. What's overhype and underhype in AI right now? We'll start from Tim.
Oh, I see. I think that what's overhyped. I think nothing is overhyped. There's a lot of value yet to be created, and AI is just the beginning of journey. So I will see a lot more exciting things happening. A lot of things that we were wondering why is it not automated by AI or why is AI app not happening yet. The answer is just like go early, and we'll see a lot more things.
Cool. What do you think is underhyped?
That sort of answers that question. I think that's like, well, I would say that maybe to echo like Alex's point around like open source versus closed source models. I think open source model has a lot of potential that's underhyped. I also think that personal AI, going back to like the discussion topic, that we haven't seen a really good like personal AI experience and in the hands of everyday user. So that's going to be hopefully Pain AI will become like one of those companies, but it's still underhyped.
Cool. Maybe Alex.
Yeah. I think the overhyped aspect is like people think AI can solve anything, basically AGI like totally replace human. I would say like at least like it will be a long time away. And the underhyped aspect is like I think people are still underestimating the value of AI, and it's going to enter every industry. It's going to enter every industry as long as we have a more mature infra, especially if we cut the cost down and have more people to be involved in AI, and we'll see it in and domain like agriculture, like airline, etc. This kind of very traditional industry, and it is going to hugely revolutionize the previous way how we operate different industry.
Cool. Bill.
Yeah, I had the same view as Tim. Nothing is overhyped. We think some of the things is overhyped temporarily just because we look into the next 1 year. If we look into the next 10 years, I think we are just in the start of this. Since I've been through a bunch of different hype cycles in AI, right? Like it's not the first hype cycle, it's probably the bigger one, but there is ImageNet, there is AlphaGo, there is like in the middle, there is the industrial overhype with like let's say like auto driving. At that time, it's like every single auto driving car almost basically either got bought or crashed, right? But now you can see actually everything is getting delivered with Waymo running on like SF Street and all that. So I think on the long run, a lot of the technology trends is not overhyped. It's just like some of the things is much harder and it takes longer, and people need to have the long-term patience rather than, oh, should I invested in this round and then, oh, it's like the technology is so hard. Okay, like let's move away. Kind of a approach. It's like very common in Wall Street, and I think this kind of things create the cycles. It's like the self-reflexivity, right? Like when people moving, especially investors moving herd, kind of like creating this self-fulfilling prophecies. And in terms of what is underhyped, I think a few things. First, I think like high quality unique data are clearly like underhyped. That like a lot of people are building an application without emphasizing on like what are my like high quality unique data angle, and people just kind of competing on who kind of like build nicer like I don't know, rappers or whatever. This is
What do you mean by unique data?
Like can you have some source of data as a startup that other people do not have access to? I think in terms of this 0 to 1 framework, right? You want to have like a small niche monopoly on something. I feel like apply that framework to startup, especially AI startup. I feel like there's not enough looking into data. That is one of the things that inspire me to think about the idea of like open AI. And I was like, okay, this is like the most fundamental way. First, users need to own their own data. Second, we need to build this protocol that allows different application builders to like have this new data layer that we can truly compete with today's big hyperscalers like Google, Facebook. Otherwise, there is practically no hope to building an AI application in Web2 fashion with these like massive companies. So I think data, especially like personal data, is probably some of the things that is underhyped. Another type of data is underhyped, I think, is expert system 2 level data. I think today not many people is able to utilize that. Yeah, like it will come, but yeah, like I feel like this is one of the things that not many people even realize.
That's great. It seems like we do have still, especially after today's discussion, I feel like we do have a lot of like research problem. Previously, I thought that like the personal AI, making an AI personal is like more like a model efficient. It's more about like model efficiency, right? More making like smaller model. But it seems like there are like a lot more like frontier research that needs to be done for us to enable this. Yeah, we have been, thanks for everyone for the time. We've been chatting for over two hours, like really a very comprehensive discussion on this topic. But I believe that as the as AI and the field of personal AI like evolve like very, very fast, probably at sometime like next year or two, we'll have a time to revisit what we discussed today, and really look forward to more more news coming from like every company, like from all your company, and see like what personal AI would and the power of agent will enable us to be more powerful, like personally. Okay, thanks very much for everyone's time. It's been a great discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks for time.
Bye.